Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Breaking up is never easy. But saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay. And you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on context, and help each other understand.
Today, Andy Beach tells us about why a newspaper would partner with AI company Perplexity, and good news for Nintendo, but bad news for gamers.
I'm Good News Tom Merritt.
And I'm Jenn Cutter.
You're not bad news, Jenn Cutter.
No, there's enough bad news in the world.
Not at all. Let's start with what you need to know with the big story. Nintendo says it sold 3.5 million Switch 2s in the first 4 days it was on sale. That's a record. For comparison, the original Switch took a month and still only sold 2.74 million in its first month. Nintendo projected before this that it would sell 15 million by next March. So they're like a quarter of the way there. Well, a fifth of the way there. But if it can increase supply, seems like it might be able to sell more than 15 million by next March. Apparently, that steep $449 price didn't matter much, at least for now. Production, however, does. Foxconn is not able to make them fast enough to keep up with demand right now. About 2/3 of these are made in mainland China. Of course, that means the tariff situation has caused Nintendo to speculate on whether it would need to raise prices in the U.S. in the future. More on that a little later in the show. However, most analysts think they would need to lower that price. Yes, there's enthusiasm now, but if you want to maintain sales momentum in the long term, $449 might be a little pricey. Meanwhile, the inevitable bugs that show up when any product this popular ships at scale have arrived, and this one's not too bad. The Switch 2's battery indicator has been showing incorrect percentages for some people. So it'll say you have 80% left when you have 90%. So it's actually good news when you find out it's incorrect, thankfully, instead of the other way around. Nintendo has published a fix that involves charging the device all the way, putting the Switch 2 into recovery mode, and then resetting the battery level meter. You might have to do that a couple of times, but apparently that'll work as a workaround. And there was some battery management stuff that was put in place at the last minute, might be at fault. Maybe they'll have a patch for this down the road. The booming success also comes at a time when video game retail shops are hitting some hard times due to the rise in digital downloads. And it turns out people aren't going there to buy their hardware either. GameStop reported a 17% drop in first quarter revenue, with a specific 32% drop in hardware and accessories revenue. So the chain says it will probably have to close more stores this year. Anyway, overall, the question here becomes, Jen, why are people so excited for the Switch 2, especially at that price?
Well, I had famously caved on my no Switch 2 at launch is too expensive stance when I got my mom in a small town to put in a pre-order for me. So I went out to visit her and do the midnight launch and had to bring my mom, and it was a blast, and I'm really, really glad I did it.
You got caught up. You got caught up in the...
I got caught up.
Yeah.
And then I gave what is now back to EB Games Canada, because a Quebec entrepreneur had bought it out. So everyone is... Yeah, it's the same reason we still have Toys R Us.
That's cool.
They're just separate companies. So staff was weirdly happy about being able to finally say EB Games, because Canada, it was GameStop Canada, but we never actually called it that.
Nobody
it's it's the Rogers Center, but we call it the Sky Dome. Like it was just EB Games the whole way.
Pac-Bell Park forever. I get you.
But yeah, super excited. Went in. My mom touched everything in the store. I was like, "What's this? What's this? What's this?" And then I gave them over 1,000 Canadian dollars for the bundle and the new Pro controller, and I was slightly less happy about it.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, having firsthand tried to resist and failed, what do you think is causing all of this excitement?
I've been trying to decide whether the lack of preview units sent out to press, because usually people would go to like IGN and the other big gaming names to see what's up, and that did not happen this year. Everyone was in the exact same boat. So even if things were worse than they turned out to be, I think for a launch it was pretty decent. You were still excited based on the Nintendo name. Like, I think like in most people's lifetimes, the only real bad Nintendo launches and lifetimes were the Virtual Boy back in the day and the Wii U, which was really funny when people were like, "Oh no,
some people
the
throw
Switch
the
didn't launch
GameCube in there,"
with
and I don't think that's fair. I think the GameCube may have been a lesser launch, but it still wasn't bad. I liked it.
Yeah. And a lot of the GameCube, Game Boy Advance integrations too later came out really good. Like the Switch, like the biggest thing for me for the Switch 2 was the issue of the system transfer. Nintendo did not fully explain that, and we all kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt that this was not going to be the disaster it was. I had set mine up as a fresh system, and had I not physically had my other Switch available to me, because I had brought it with me to my mom's, I would not have been able to play my brand new Switch 2 exclusive Mario game, because they wanted them to be linked to my original account, because I didn't do the full transfer, because I didn't want to mess with that on the first day. And like, that was nuts. And that caught a lot of parents, off guard, and also the fact that Nintendo was trying to charge 14 Canadian for the welcome tour that should have been bundled burned a little more goodwill. But thankfully the battery issue was not, it didn't hit everybody. I managed to not get that.
Okay. That's good. It sounds like you're a victim of, well, you weren't supposed to do that. We planned this to work a certain way, and you departed from the script, and we didn't account for that, which also happens a lot when you have new stuff. I got a chance to play with my brother-in-law's Switch 2 over the weekend, and honestly, I was like, yeah, it looks nicer. It's a bigger screen. It plays a little smoother. Nothing about it really blew me away, and yet I still find myself like looking at Target, looking at Best Buy, like, oh, have they opened up reservations yet? No, you still got to go in store. Like, I think some of it is just everyone's so excited about it, it makes you excited about it somehow.
Yeah, everyone's looking for good news. You've got the Nintendo Warm Fuzzies. I do love me some Mario Kart. So like that's been big, but they need to get more stuff out soon that isn't enhanced editions. Like the Pokemon Fix for Pokemon Scarlet Violet, out of this world. And then you have the advanced Zelda games, but like the Mario Kart World is not, I don't think, enough of a system seller. They need to push more out that doesn't look like
apparently
a game that
it
could just
is
be on
now
the Switch.
3.5 million, but you're right. No, it makes sense that would not be enough to keep people coming, at least not for the long term. It was kind of the same way with when the Switch launched. I remember there not being enough titles for a while, but eventually there were.
Yeah, but Breath of the Wild was a lot bigger of a time sink than Mario Kart, no matter how much you love Mario Kart.
Very good point. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You can put down Mario Kart a lot easier than you could Breath of the Wild. Well, there you go, folks. Nintendo Switch 2, a total success, at least after the first 4 days. But I do want to check back on this in a month, 2 months, to see, does it follow the normal slowdown? All of these consoles slow down, after the first launch, or does it fall faster? Was there a lot of, I need to get it now? because I don't know if it'll be more expensive later kind of thing. That could be part of this too. I don't know.
DTNS is made possible by you, the listener. Thanks to John Atwood, Pat, Mike Cortez, and our new patron, DSE.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Trust isn't just earned, it's demanded. Whether you're a startup founder navigating your first audit or a seasoned security professional scaling your GRC program, proving your commitment to security has never been more critical or more complex. That's where Vanta comes in. Businesses use Vanta to establish trust by automating compliance needs across over 35 frameworks, like SOC 2 and ISO 27001, centralized security workflows, complete questionnaires up to 5 times faster, and proactively manage vendor risk. Vanta not only saves you time, it can also save you money. A new IDC white paper found that Vanta customers achieve $535,000 per year in benefits, and the platform pays for itself in just 3 months. Join over 9,000 global companies like Atlassian, Quora, and Factory who use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. For a limited time, our audience gets $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/DTNS. That's VANTA.com/DTNS for $1,000 off.
When your workforce, tech stack, and business needs are evolving all at once, you need HCM software that moves just as fast. That's why Paylocity builds what's next, providing innovative and simplified solutions for clients to tackle the real challenges they face every day. From AI-driven insights to automated workflows across HR, finance, and IT, Paylocity's platform doesn't just keep up, it leads. It's time to simplify complexity, drive results, and move forward together. Start now at paylocity.com/simplified.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
In what might be very timely news for Nintendo and obviously the rest of tech, China and the US have agreed on a framework for a trade agreement. The deal resolves restrictions on the export of rare earth minerals and the admission of Chinese students to US colleges. The overall tariff rate on goods from China to the U.S. will drop to 55%, though analysts say that, in effect, with variance across different categories of goods, it will end up being something like 33%. There was no mention of a change in export controls on chip technology from the U.S. to China.
Yeah, it feels like this is round one. There's still a lot of unresolved questions, still a lot of room to reduce that tariff rate. But this seems like a good first step, a good first round that will help companies like Nintendo, hopefully. It is just a framework. which I would normally say like, well, once they get to the framework stage, these things are pretty much done. But with today's participants in today's environment, I would say, you know what? Don't count on it. Don't count those eggs yet. Let's give it until it's signed to be absolutely sure. But it does look good.
Yes, and we will, of course, stay on top of that and let you all know.
Google has started rolling out Android 16 to owners of Pixel devices. I just got it rolled out to me. You can go force it to be downloaded as well. It's an early upgrade for Android, which usually does its major version changes later in the year. Pixel phones have it now with other phones to get it in the coming weeks, depending on your manufacturer. It might be more like a month or two, depending on the manufacturer. And it's not a huge upgrade. Some of the features aren't going to arrive until later point upgrades, but here's what you get now, or at least some of the highlights. Apps will get live notifications that show progress on things like a delivery or a game, a sports game. There'll be a small icon in the status bar that you can tap to expand for more info. That's app by app. Not every app is doing it, but it's there. It's like live notifications work on iOS. All apps now have bundled notifications. I have experienced the joy of that. All 7 of my dog walkers app notifications collapsed into one beautifully. That was wonderful. Advanced protection comes to all devices. So that'll block 2G connections. You can unblock it if you need a 2G connection for some reason, but usually those are malicious these days for people. So that'll block those. It'll block sites without proper security like HTTPS, and it will block unknown USB devices from connecting to your phone. Support for using the device's mic for Bluetooth LE devices like hearing aids. So if the mic on your Pixel is better than the one in your hearing aid, you're in a loud room, you can have it use the mic on your phone. Pixel Studio app gets Emoji Kitchen, so you can create your own emojis. A lot of the more significant changes are under the hood, like filling larger screens, dynamic screen sizing, expanded camera features for apps, stuff like that. What is not here yet? So when I finally got my Android 16, it was like, here I go. Oh, doesn't look that different. Is Material 3 expressive design and desktop mode. Those are coming later this year. So I can't use it as a desktop. It doesn't look that different, but it is updated.
Well, bundled app notifications was something I did not know I needed in my life until I got it on my phone too. Makes a difference.
Yeah, and some apps were able to bundle notifications, but now every app has bundled notifications. So that is a nice change. And Android Faithful did a good rundown of all of this, including some things coming to Wear OS as well. So you might want to listen to Android Faithful for the complete thing. But they agreed that, you're not getting a ton of things in this one. There's more to come later this year.
Huawei introduced its Pura 80 series of phones with batteries that start at 5,600 milliamp hours of capacity. The base model has a 6.6-inch screen with the Pro and Pro Plus at 6.8 inches and slightly larger battery capacity at 5,700 milliamp hours. The Ultra's camera features a 1-inch main sensor and is the first phone to feature a dual-lens telephoto system. They support Beidou satellite connectivity for text and photos, and the Pro and Ultra support Beidou and Tianchong for satellite. They're available in China for 6,500 to 11,000 won, the equivalent of about $900 to $1,300 US.
Yeah, Huawei once again blazing a trail, with the camera sensors. Everybody was raving about that, and delivering a good, solid phone. Apparently, this has got the Kirin chip in it, Huawei's own chip, although they didn't say that. People are kind of deducing that from some of the other specs they announced. But good solid phones coming to China first and then starting to trickle out to Europe and Africa and India and other parts of the world, although probably not North America. Neither one of us are probably going to see this. A bunch of OpenAI news to tell you about. The O3 Pro reasoning model launched for ChatGPT Pro, Team, and API users starting on Tuesday. That replaces the O1 Pro model. Enterprise and EDU users will get it next week. It does not yet have temporary chats, image generation, or workspace support at launch, but those are coming. The O3 model prices also dropped by 80%. For API users. OpenAI has not released an open model in years. It was supposed to release one this month in June. However, CEO Sam Altman said on X that is delayed until later this summer. He said there's a really great, amazing reason you're going to love it once it's out, but it's worth the delay, worth the wait, all that sort of thing. But that long wait for an open model is going to be a little longer for you open source fans. France's Mistral released its first family of open reasoning models. They've released open models before. Their first family of open reasoning models called Magistral on Tuesday. So there's lots of open models out there if you want one, just not yet from OpenAI. Altman also published a blog post called The Gentle Singularity, forecasting what he believes will happen in the AI space for the next 15 years. It's very futurism, optimism. If you are into that and you want to hear that, it's a good read. He believes that next year we will see, quote, systems that can figure out novel insights. That's one of the separators between the current large language models and what some people call superintelligence or AGI, is the ability for a model to come up with something on its own. Not just something that you can trace back to like, oh, it's mimicking or pulling out of the data or whatever. He also said that an average ChatGPT query uses about 0.34 watt hours of energy. That's about what your oven would use in 1 second as it's cooking your food. And he also addressed water use. A lot of people are concerned about water use for cooling of data centers. He said the average query uses roughly 1/15 of a teaspoon of water.
I don't think I'm alone in this, but I really do need to start making myself a chart of who does what and how and what its specialty is, because there's so many now. I am definitely like blending a bunch of features and different AIs together.
I'll be honest. One of my most anticipated features is one that Altman promised earlier this year, and I hope others like Anthropic and Mistral do as well, which is it will tell you which model to use if you want. You put in the query, it'll be like, oh, I think the 03 or the 4.5 is best for that model, so that you don't always have to decide based on the chart that Jenn wisely is going to have to make until they do that.
Exactly. Like, if these things want to be a daily tool, which obviously they do, everyone knows you want to use a document program for words and a Excel for numbers. So yeah, they do need to simplify and maybe start naming things a little easier.
And it would be the perfect solution if it can just tell like, oh, that's a reasoning problem. Let me chuck it to 03. Like, oh, that's a coding problem. Let me put that in 4.5. Like it should be able to do that. So I'm looking forward to that getting reliable.
NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang announced it's teaming up with France's Mistral to build data centers using 18,000 Blackwell chips in Essonne, France. Mistral plans to roll out data centers like it in more European locations. NVIDIA also announced deals with Nebius and Nscale in the UK, as well as companies in Italy and Armenia. NVIDIA is also building 20 AI factories or an AI cloud starting in Germany. Wang also said he believed quantum computing is at an inflection point.
Yeah, the majority of his talk was Europe needs infrastructure and I'm here to build it. And it wasn't just talk. He had these deals to be like, I'm doing it here in France. I'm doing it in Germany. I'm doing it here. So that was good, I think, especially for companies in Europe that need this kind of infrastructure. That little throwaway thing about quantum computing at an inflection point got a lot of headlines as well. I think that's Huang trying to position NVIDIA as the place to come eventually for your quantum computing needs. They've got a couple of products that are in that space, and he's been really good at knowing what the next thing is. That's why they were there for the crypto revolution. They are there right now for the large language model revolution. And I think he's saying, I think that's where the puck is going. I'm going to skate there. At Google I/O, we saw Google Beam, a video conferencing product that makes a video call feel 3D, just using some generative models to create the effect. Wednesday, HP announced the HP Dimension with Google Beam. It's the first product to use this, has 6 cameras, obviously the Google models you need, and a 65-inch light field display. That's a special display that's optimized to be able to perform this. It's compatible with most major video conferencing software. That integrates Zoom and Google Meet, of course, right into it, but it also can interoperate with Teams and WebEx, among others. HP said that its tests, if you're like, why do I need it to look good? I just need a video conference. 2D is good enough for me. They said that having this kind of presence where you really feel like you're there with somebody will increase memory recall from a meeting by 28% and increase your focus in a meeting by 14%, as well as increase the amount of nonverbal communication. That's good if that all is true. because the HP Dimension with Google Beam is going to cost you $24,999. And you probably need more than one. That's each coming to select customers later this year.
Well, I love telling people when they are right. And Tom, you were right in our Google I.O. show. You said this is exactly the thing that was coming down the pipeline for the corporate customers at the high end. And I would call this high end.
I don't know if I said a price point. I don't think I did. I'm not sure I would have said.
Hinted.
I'm not sure I would have thought 25,000. I would have been like 10,000 or something. But I don't know. Maybe this should be more expensive. Maybe some people were expecting it to be 100,000. So 25,000 might seem cheap to some enterprises. I have no idea.
A few more quick items to get to. The browser company recently announced end of life for its Arc browser. And the successor, the AI-focused Dia, is now available in an invite-only beta.
Couple of European court maneuvers. WhatsApp said it will support Apple in its court case over providing the government the possibility of access to iCloud data. And Meta and TikTok are going to challenge the fees levied against them for monitoring compliance with the EU's Digital Services Act. They say those fees are not wrong to charge. They're just disproportionate. They think they're too much.
And in an interview at WWDC, Apple's senior vice president, Craig Federighi, said that Apple had delayed Siri because its error rate was unacceptable. Federighi and Greg Joswiak both emphasized that Apple doesn't want to build chatbots, but integrate features into the OS and give developers access to a local model.
Okay, those are the essentials for today. Let's get a little deeper into an ongoing story.
Le Monde has partnered with AI startup Perplexity to share content and co-develop AI tools, signaling a shift in how traditional media engages with generative search platforms. Andy Beach has more.
Andy, thanks again for joining us.
Hey, Tom. Good to see you.
So tell us what Le Monde is up to here with Perplexity, because we've got a lot of partnership announcements that have been happening over the last couple of years here. What's significant about this one?
Yeah, I suspect this is the first of many that we see like this, because it's really valuable for both parties. So Le Monde is a French newspaper. They have made an announcement with Perplexity, and it's really a two-way path. They are licensing their content in order to help train the models. But in return, they themselves are also going to be co-creating and implementing a number of editorial tools that will help both their journalists and their editors with the production of the content for the paper.
So how does that differ from, say, OpenAI announcing that it's got some partnership with the Washington Post, for example?
By and large, the things that we've seen to date are very much one-sided, meaning that the large language model training companies are really just buying content or licensing content on an ongoing basis from a movie studio, a broadcaster, or in these cases, a newspaper. But they're not doing anything with the company in order to help build tools that are actually valuable for them as a customer. So I feel like this is something that's long overdue and likely a pattern we're going to see more and more of, rather than just, for a data owner, in this case, again, a newspaper looking to figure out how to make additional money off of the content that they have. This is them looking for a duality of it. How do we know we need to go implement AI anyway. Let's make it cheaper and easier for us to do that by making it part of a larger deal.
It is, I think, going to be surprising to some to hear that this is a European newspaper doing this, because it seems like every announcement of a new model rolling out is except in the UK, Europe, and Switzerland, right? Except in the European Economic Area. It's always a little delayed there because they have more stringent regulations around this sort of thing.
They do, but I think that's also why this will allow partnerships like this to proliferate there faster. In other words, I think part of the problem we have in the US is that we don't necessarily have the policy and regulation controls that are helping with ethical AI and the problems that we see around that, which is why we keep having announcements and black eyes that by companies that don't necessarily know the provenance of their content. But in Europe, they do have more stringent controls, which I've sort of, in a talk recently, sort of compared it to like the brakes on a car. Like the brakes are on there, do slow the car down, but they do it so that you don't go careening off a cliff. And in this case, those regulations are allowing companies to develop things that companies are then comfortable signing deals like this to both license their content, but then also build tools that will help them with the future of how they go develop new content for their newspaper.
Yeah, and I think there's something here to see a deal like this happening this early in the development of these kinds of tools that is interesting. And I don't know if it's been learned because of the mistakes with search, but it's certainly different than search, where newsrooms were using search. They're still using search, but there was a lot of anger over search engines taking newspaper content and indexing it and providing summaries and that sort of thing. This seems to be a good way to try to stave that off from being a problem with these kinds of tools.
Yeah, I think it solves problems in that direction. It also means that I'm willing to bet that Perplexity, as part of this, will be having to create a lot of tooling around validating facts and information for the journalists as part of what they do. And that's going to be beneficial for the technology companies as well, because that is a stigma that they have. We all think of, large language models hallucinating, and making up content. So if they're able to work closely with Le Monde around creating fact-checking tools that are now just integrated as part of the AI experience, that's valuable for everybody, not just the newspaper.
And let me tell you, journalists, and I'm assuming the ones at Le Monde are no exception, pretty intolerant when it comes to a tool that burns them on accuracy, right? So it's going to take a lot for them to trust this tool, but once they trust it, they're going to rely on it and say, yes, this is rock solid, but it's going to have to be rock solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I did also want to mention there's another group in Europe that I keep an eye on, the European Broadcasting Union, EBU. This is the governing body that all public broadcast in Europe and actually also Japan are members of. And they are closely looking at AI technology as well and trying to create both guidelines around what it must do in order to help public news, public sports, public broadcasts in general, but also the ethical background and sourcing that the data must have, and things like truth and validation checking as part of it. So I suspect between things like that and this announcement, we're going to see hopefully more of this start coming to light. But it very likely the next few may very well be in Europe, because I do think they are outpacing from a policy perspective what we're doing in the U.S. We may have more technology here, but they have better policy practices that allow businesses to adopt it there.
Well, Andy, thanks so much for helping us understand this. If folks want to get more of your insights on this sort of thing, where should they go?
Yeah, so I have a Substack I've started. It's abeach.substack.com, ABEACH, and I'm covering the convergence of AI and media technology every day.
Hey, folks, if you listen to the show, you might not be aware that we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show, where you can listen to the show. We actually post the audio version there. And we also have a live stream that we do once a day as well, DTNS Live. So do us a favor, head on over to youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show. Click on that like button. It'll help us. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Ready to order.
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, Kevin is helping us understand.
Yes, Kevin writes, "Hi, folks. I'm actually glad that Apple is using next year as the OS numbering system. Since I do tech support for my parents, I've asked them not to install a new OS when it's first released so the bugs can get worked out. But that means I'm always looking up when something was released and trying to figure out when to tell them to upgrade. Now I can just tell them to upgrade when the version number matches the current year. That way they don't end up installing it before the bugs get worked out, because they're going to release them in the fall. So that gives 3 months before the 26 becomes 2026. That's super smart, Kevin. I love that. Thank you for sending that along. That's a great tip.
That is genius. And as always, shout out to everyone doing tech support at home and for extended and remote families. You're keeping the world turning, frankly.
Yeah, doing the Lord's work for sure.
So what are you thinking about? Do you have some insight into a story? Please share it with us over at feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Please do. Keep those emails coming. And a big thanks to Andy Beach and Kevin for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. Good news, too. If you like music, our daily music headline show now available as an Amazon flash briefing. Go add it to your Echo now. Talk to you soon.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs. Oh, wait, I screwed that up.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hi friends, Nikayla from Side Hustle Pro here. Whether you're running a nonprofit, a school, or a small business, Walmart Business is here to support your mission. They make it easy to order what you need, from tech and cleaning supplies to everyday essentials, all at low prices and with helpful tools like spend tracking and tax-exempt purchasing for eligible organizations. Because when your operations are smooth, your impact can be bigger. Visit business.walmart.com to get started.